What's up, guys? We are back to do some parenting TikTok reactions. Around here, I love kids, absolutely love them, so much so that I had 6 of them myself. Know a little bit about parenting, at least up to 10 years old. So let's see how these other parents are doing it.
What's up, guys?
Can you just go away? Seriously.
No. Don't talk like that, guys. First is song.
Okay. So I don't obviously this is staged, right? But I do wonder with things like this, when you're getting your kid to react to something that is hopefully abnormal in your home, where did he learn to react like that? Did they run through this real quick and like tell him that? Or is this something that happens frequently? Or how did they teach this? How do you teach this to your child? That is a bad reaction. Obviously, I agree that it's a bad reaction. You shouldn't talk to each other that way as spouses, and it's also not your kid's job to correct you on that. And so, I don't know. I'm indifferent on this one.
If you're going to make your kids tough, which they better be if they're going to survive in the world,
Kinda
you
like
can't
Jordan
interfere
Peterson.
when
Don't
they're
agree with
doing
everything.
dangerous things carefully.
Think about it that specifically. Dangerous things carefully.
Yep.
That's such a place where kids learn.
Dangerous things carefully. Don't interfere. So I definitely believe in, especially my boys, making my boys tough, helping them grow up to be men that can protect and provide and take care, slay the dragons, all of that wonderful stuff that young men ought to be. And I'm much more this way than my wife is, but she has definitely come a long way on this as well, of just allowing them to experiment with things that, you know, they could be considered dangerous, climbing on top of the monkey bars. Like, you could fall. It's not going to kill you if you fall. Probably not even going to injure you seriously enough that it would be any significant problem. So things like that, I think, are really important to allow kids to kind of explore that. You don't want to be a helicopter parent. You don't want to be involved in every single little detail, micromanaging, making sure that they never get hurt. It's okay for kids to fall down. It's okay for them to get hurt. We're building resiliency. We're helping them grow up to be well-adjusted individuals. So don't agree with everything Jordan Peterson says. I agree with that. I like that.
I'm about to some people off.
Oh boy, here we
I
go.
got a lot of comments on my video about setting boundaries with my mom from older women who reiterated the message, you should be grateful for everything your mother's done for you. Like somehow setting boundaries with someone means you don't love or appreciate what they've done for you. But here's what's going to people off. Children don't owe their parents a certain kind of relationship.
Okay, we're going to stop there. Agree with the first part, disagree with the last statement. She said it's okay to set boundaries with your parents. Obviously. Well, you're your own adult. You have your own household. I am allowed to tell my parents you can't come over all the time uninvited and unannounced. I'm allowed to tell my wife's parents that. Thankfully, we don't have the kinds of in-laws that would do that, but I'm allowed to set those sorts of boundaries with them. I'm allowed to tell my parents, I can't take your call right now because I'm in the middle of this over here and I will call you back later. I'm allowed to do that. I'm allowed to set some boundaries. That's fine. But then she takes it a step further and says kids don't owe their parents anything. Fundamentally disagree with that. There are countless scriptures from a biblical perspective that talk about kids honoring their parents. In fact, one of the 10 commandments is honor your father and mother. It's the only commandment, or the first commandment, the only one in the 10 commandments, the first commandment with promise, we're told later on in the scriptures. And the promise is that it would be well with you and that you'd live a long life. And so connected to this idea of honoring parents is also this idea of legacy, this idea of carrying on that respect. And so if you go into treating your parents with disrespect, expect that that is going to come back to you from your children. That's kind of the principle there. We should show our parents respect if we also want to be respected by our children in their adult years, in our old age, right? Also, like, yes, you do owe them. They did everything for you. My children, especially when they're in my house, they have a responsibility, a duty to me and their mother for all of the things that we have done for them. And why have we done them for that? Well, we did that for them because they were our children, right? They had a right to those things, but that doesn't mean that they don't also have a reciprocal responsibility to us for those things. And so if they go off their own way and completely disrespect my name, completely don't uphold my standards, completely go their own direction in opposition to the way that I raised them and brought them up, it will offend me deeply and hurt my heart because I feel that I am owed that from them. I am owed them becoming responsible, well-adjusted, mature adults in this world for the investment that I put into them. Now, whether or not they give that to me, it's not really my business. I don't get to force that out of them, but I do deserve that from them. I am owed that from them. I expect that of them. So maybe this language of not owing your parents is where people are getting hung up. But I think if you change it to responsibility and expectation, then I don't think anybody would disagree with that. There's a responsibility that you have to your parents, and there's an expectation from your parents that you will also do those things. And that, to me, that's just honorable. That's just being an honorable person.
And depending on the parent, they might not owe them respect either, because that is reciprocal. There is definitely a different dynamic between an adult parent and a child who's still a child. But once that kid is an adult, that person is a fully formed human being. And all that they did for you is parenting, which is what you signed up for. A parent's job is to provide for their children.
That is such an entitled response. That is the same thing that people say, the immature, like college students, when they're trying to defend abortion or something, they're like, well, I didn't ask to be born, or something like that. It's just so stupid. It's like, you brought them into the world. You signed up for this. Well, yeah, I brought them into the world, but I could have been a bad parent. I could have sent them to an orphanage to live and grow up. I could have abandoned them to the foster care system. I didn't have to be a responsible parent who invested in them faithfully day in and day out and continues to do so. Yes, they're adults now. I no longer have the same type of relationship that I once did. But even though they're adults, and I'm speaking as a child who is an adult, the relationship that I have with my parents, it has changed from parenting to more of guidance, but there's a lot of that respect that continues to go their direction because of the investment in the relationship that they put in. And so she's saying if your parents didn't invest in that relationship, maybe there is less of that reciprocal that is expected or that you have a responsibility for. But let's say I had a bad parent by my estimation, and that parent is now getting older. It's still my responsibility to take care of them. They're still my parent. That, again, that's just honorable. It's just honorable. I think it's super entitled for this person to say, once I become an adult, all bets are off. You signed up to parent me, therefore I was owed that. So she's flipping it. She's saying, I don't owe my parents anything for the investment of the years that they put into me to making sure that I turned out the way that I turned out. Because in a different environment, you're a whole different person, most likely. But instead of being grateful for that, she's saying, no, I don't owe them anything. They owed me all of the things that I received from them. That's just ridiculous.
It's a responsibility. Not everybody rises to the occasion, but that's like the bare minimum. Taking care of your kids' like physical and financial needs.
No, I sort of agree. I agree. It is the responsibility of every parent to do that. Absolutely. You should. If you have a child, you should know it is your responsibility to do that. That is absolutely true. But just because I do something faithfully that was my responsibility to do, it does not mean that I am not now entitled to some reward for that investment. I am actually entitled. The reason why we have problems with people who are quote unquote entitled is because they didn't earn anything. I, as a parent, I earned this. I earned this respect from you. I earned the right to be involved in your life continually. I earned the right as your parent to be a stabilizing force in your life and be a big part of your life for the rest of your life. And when I'm old, I earned the right to be taken care of by you. That is now your responsibility and duty back to me. It's the way God designed this to work. Parents nurture children early on in their age. Children grow up, become parents. Parents become grandparents. Parents get old. Children take care of parents. The cycle repeats on and on and on. It's the way God designed family to work. It's the whole reason why family is important to really lean into as the primary institution in our world. I don't want to finish this video. We're not going to finish this one. All right, here we go. Gentle parenting.
Talk about it. You need some space.
Oh, this boundary
I
language.
need you to come back, Bubba, because there's lots of cars over there. And it's not very safe for you to be there by yourself. Me and Mummy to carry you.
I want Mummy down my hand and walk.
Oh, you want to hold Mummy's hand and walk?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can be safe around the cars. You need to be holding Mama's hand all the time. Okay, because we're going to be around cars a lot now. And if you start to try and run off, then we're going to either pick you up or put you in the buggy, okay? Yeah? Do you want to have an okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is obviously a really popular trend right now, this gentle parenting movement. And don't get me wrong, I think parenting as a whole, you have to have gentleness. There should be gentleness. The way he's talking to his daughter there, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with the way he's talking to his daughter. I really don't. What I have a problem with is this particular type of parenting tends to treat little tiny children as though they are reasonable. And if you are actually a parent, you know that little tiny children are anything but reasonable. And so when they are choosing to be reasonable, this is a great way, I think, to train them on how to relate to other people, how important it is for us to have intelligent conversations with one another. But my 2 and 3-year-old oftentimes are not capable of rationally thinking through any type of scenario. And especially when it comes to stuff like being around the street, my child's not running down the sidewalk a little bit and I'm not gently getting them back. Like, that is too dangerous of a situation. That is not the time for gentle parenting. At least not this form of it, where I'm having a negotiation with my child. I don't mind giving them options sometimes, but there are definitely times when I am the parent and you are the child, and you don't get a say.
If you have a strong-willed child, I'm about to give you a parenting hack that's going to change your life, as cliche as that sounds. I'm Rachel, I'm a certified parent coach, and I help parents get their children to listen and learn lessons without having to yell at them, threaten them, or punish them. Here's the hack. Instead of making demands or commands for your strong-willed child, telling them what to do and having to yell at them, threaten them, or punish them in order to get them to do that thing, start asking them questions and getting them to critically think about the scenario for themselves. All children have a basic need for some sense of power and control, but with strong-willed children, this need is even greater. And if you are a strong-willed parent, it's very likely that you find yourself power struggling with this strong-willed child more often than you'd like. So try this instead. We're about to go to Grandma's and I see a lot of toys on the floor. What do you think could happen to your toys if we leave them out with the dog? Yeah, the dog could chew them up. Are you okay with that? I'm not either. So what should we do about that? Yeah, I think picking them up is the best idea. Adapt this to your own parenting scenarios and let me know if you
Once
find it
again,
helpful.
we are treating children as though they are always rational. This stuff sounds so good on TikTok. When you have an adult on both sides of this conversation giving the right proper response to the question, makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? In reality, in practice, this might work some of the time, maybe especially with older children, but with younger little children, sometimes it doesn't work.